a big time welcome to the UFC for the Armenian-Italian superstar Armen Petrosyan, a guy who's 70-21-1 as a kickboxer, brother of Giorgio Petrosyan. I'm sorry, Bill? Bill in the control room? Bill with the cue cards? No, that's wrong. It's not that Armen Petrosyan? No, silly goose. The UFC has an Armen Petrosyan, but it's not the one that you know or I know or anybody else knows. No, it is the former AMC Fight Night light heavyweight champion Armen Petrosyan. Superman. Never made any money saving the world from Solomon Grundy, but I can tell you what he did. Came in on short notice on Dana White's Contender Series this past summer. Knocked a man dead in the first round, and it was amazing. Armen Petrosyan has power, and I absolutely love watching his fights. It was a pleasure and a treat going back, watching the fight tape for this one, taking on a guy in Gregory Rodrigues who, oh, by the way, also has wicked power in his hands. The only difference between these two guys from a striking perspective, and I'm really boiling it down, is the fact that Armen Petrosyan throws great kicks, and Gregory Rodrigues throws no kicks. So that could be a big difference maker. Obviously, the big talking point for Gregory Rodrigues is the fact that we haven't really been able to see his ground game and his jiu-jitsu in the UFC, and that could ultimately be the best part of his game. But I have this to say. His boxing's damn good. When he came in and made his debut on short notice against Dusko Todorovic, he looked really good in that decision win. He looked great his last time out. He was able to pick a big-time win against Jin Young Park in a fight that, if I'm not mistaken, we both had Jin Young Park in that one.
He busted him up.
And they gave him a fight of the night bonus, even though David Onama, Mason Jones was pretty good on that card too. But for Gregory Rodrigues, since getting knocked out in the first round against scrappy old Jordan Williams back a year and 4 months ago, he beat Almadaval, that was on Dana White's Contender Series at a point. He beat Josh Fremd, who's now in the UFC, just got signed recently. He finished him quickly and won the LFA championship over there. Again, Todorovic, and then his last time out, a big win. But I look at it for Armen Petrosyan, and this guy is interesting because you look at the level of competition. It's not the best, but it's not that bad. And then you look at it, he wins the AMC Fight Night light heavyweight title. Again, knockout, 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 knockout. He loses to Hassan Yousefi, who is a really good fighter. You do a deep dive on his career. He is a very, very accomplished fighter. Loses that one in the first round back in June of last year. But then a month and about a week later, he gets another fight, and he wins that one by knockout. And then 3 months later, he comes in on short notice to take on Kaloyan Kolev. And in that fight, if you look at it for Petrosyan, he was a slight favorite, which kind of surprised me because he was, 5-1 going into that fight, or 6-1 going into that fight? He ultimately gets the win there. But, Matt, again, this fight, striker's paradise, I would say.
I don't think this fight's going to go to decision. Now, I said that about Joaquin Buckley and Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, and that went to a decision. Now, both guys got rocked quite a few times in that fight, so it could have been ended, but still, I don't think this fight's going to go to a decision for these reasons. Petrosyan is a good striker, but he doesn't plant his feet at all. Like, you did set this fight up very well, whereas Rodrigues, very plodding forward kind of a style, will use his combinations. Good uppercuts from Rodrigues, too. If guys do have a very high guard, he's good at finding holes in it, good at using his hooks to go around, and uppercuts to go up the middle, too. And I really like the body work out of Rodrigues, too. Not something we see as often as I'd like. He's not like a Shane Burgos who will go in with the intent of throwing 3-4 hooks to the body, but when Rodrigues does mix in his body hooks and then follow them up with head attacks, it is lethal. Like, there's few guys who can eat that kind of power in this division, but that's why I think this is sort of strange matchmaking. Like, Rodrigues is on a UFC win streak right now. He has wins at the UFC level, and a number of them at this point. It is odd that they're giving Petrosyan, I don't want to say this high profile of an opponent, because let's be honest, Gregory Rodrigues isn't a show-stopping talent by any means, but still, he's at least a proven guy in the UFC, and that's why I'm surprised they're giving Petrosyan this opportunity. I understand stylistically he does have a great opportunity to win. Two natural strikers who throw very heavy shots. Anyone could win. I just think it's a really big step up in competition to go from Contender Series to Gregory Rodrigues, who's won multiple fights by knockout recently.
This is the thing that scares me about this fight. Armen Petrosyan has a mix of speed and power that you love to see at middleweight. It makes middleweight exciting. He called out, Adesanya after he won that fight. And then it seemed like Adesanya was willing to engage in at least a conversation. So I do like Armen Petrosyan, but again, for Rodrigues, will I ever see the ground game? Because I can't wait for it. And I think this might be the fight because if you look at it for the man himself, Armen Petrosyan, he is a kickboxing and Muay Thai champ. He has a karate background. He's a black belt in karate. I mean, he's training at American Top Team just down the road from Sanford MMA, where Gregory Rodrigues is right now, with Aliasgab Hezriev. Gleison Tebow, Magomed Karimov, Gleison Tebow. He has a win over Rory McDonald. That's a real thing. That happened. But again, when I do look at it, it really is weird because if you look at it for Gregory, 3 of 5 on takedown attempts against Dusko Todorovic, 2 of 4 against Junyoung Park. For Armen Petrosyan, taken down. He's taken down 3 times on his fight on Dana White's Contender Series before it got back up to the feet, and he had the, kind of the jitters to get to that strike, really try and finish the fight, and he did. So I can see Petrosyan. He's like one of those guys, like the floor is lava, and if I touch the mat, I got to get back up. And he does have a good first move to try and get back off. But if you get held down, it could be bad. On the flip side, speed and power, Gregory doesn't throw kicks. He does not tend to throw kicks, and he is very much a plodding forward boxer, like you said. Armen Petrosyan has the legs and the body wide open. Now, could Gregory grab one, take him down? Very much possibility. So if we look at the odds for this one, Rodrigues open to minus 200 favorite. He's minus 179 or thereabouts right now on best fight odds. For Petrosyan, open to plus 170, plus 150 thereabouts right now. So again, you talk about a guy, UFC level, on a UFC level win streak, 4-fight win streak for Rodrigues. I'm going to say over under 62.5% Rodrigues.
I think they should be over if they're not.
Thinking they should. They are over. 627 total votes, 79% Rodrigues, 70% by knockout. For the 21% that have Petrosyan, 78% by knockout. So Matt, the fans are thinking knockout. What are you thinking in this fight? Because I know you said you expect it to not go the distance.
Gregory Rodrigues knocked out a good UFC fighter in his last fight. That's not a controversial thing to say. That is a known fact. Now he's fighting somebody who, let's say you want to sell or you want to buy the best package of Petrosyan, then maybe he can make it 50-50 on the feet and he's at a massive detriment on the ground. That's kind of the way I look at this fight, because he does have kicks, but the problem is it's hard to throw kicks when you're being pressured. You can't throw kicks when you're moving backwards, and Gregory Rodrigues never stops moving forward. Unless you hit him with a really big shot early on like Jordan Williams was able to do, I don't think Petrosyan's going to be able to have sustained success on the feet against Rodrigues. And I do think we're going to see some takedown attempts throughout this fight. It's probably going to be Rodrigues taking down Petrosyan. I just don't think I've given Gregory Rodrigues the respect he deserves throughout his UFC run, and I'm not going to do that anymore, so I'm going to pick him in this fight.
I think if Gregory Rodrigues strikes against Armen Petrosyan, he's going to get knocked out. I like Rodrigues in this fight because he has to work in his takedowns, but this is just like last weekend's Jessica Rose Clark, Stephanie Egger. We got shredded in the comments section. You guys didn't watch ADCC. You don't know what you're talking about.
I said if she wins, it's going to be by armbar.
And I said if Jessica Rose Clark decides to grapple, it's the biggest mistake. And those things happen. I think if Gregory Rodrigues goes out there, we're going to strike against Armen Petrosyan, he's going to get lit up. Because again, Armen Petrosyan, for what it's worth, is also an IFMA Muay Thai champ, to go with the karate black belt, to go with the Muay Thai and the kickboxing record that he has. Just go back and watch his fights. It is a pleasure to go back and watch it. But both of us in this one, going with Brazil's Gregory Rodrigues, going with the unknown of the ground game, but we do know that the wrestling is there for him. Let us know down below in the comment section who you have. Do you have Armenia's Armen Petrosyan, who before his last fight against Kolev was said to have gone to Dagestan to try and work his wrestling, and now he's an American top team with some guys from Dagestan? We'll see how this one plays out. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. As we always say, let's get into it.